Welcome to another Cyan Orange Duel. Today we have a special duel that has been requested frequently by you guys. 2 free apps for the iPad Pro, Medibang Paint and Ibis Paint. As usual, we'll compare each app in each distinctive battle. Art, design, performance, and price. At the end we'll give a winner based on our opinions. However, we want to be clear before we begin that we are basing this video on the free versions of the app. Both apps have the additional option of unlocking other features by paying. So without further ado, let's begin. On one side of the ring, we have Medibang Paint, created by Medibang Inc., a Japanese company that was established in the 27th of January 2014. This app is available in various languages, and it has become a well-known free platform for artists who want to share their work online. A great place for both comic creators and readers. On the other side of the ring, we have Ibis Paint X. Developed by Ibis Inc., another Japanese company, this app was first launched on the 14th of September 2011. And at first this app was launched with the objective of letting artists share the process of their work in videos. Now let's begin. Which of these apps is the best free app for the iPad? When we opened Medibang Paint, we noticed it had ads on its interface, and you can pay $7.99 US to get rid of it, plus other premium features like more brushes, tools, and uploading your work to their cloud. The interface of the app is black and well organized. There are some sections you will see in the main menu, starting with a drawing section, a section to publish your work, and finally a section with tutorials on how to use the program. We thought it was a very nice addition to have tutorial videos on specific tools for the app. Another very interesting feature this app has is that they are constantly running contests for their users. When we created a new canvas, we noticed that it had the basic menu most drawing apps have. It allows you to create a custom size for your canvas or select one from a list of presets. You can also pick the resolution and color of the canvas. Also, you can select if the first layer will be an 8-bit layer or a color layer. The drawing interface of the app reminds us a lot of Paint Tool Sci, another drawing app on PC. When we are drawing, we have the following interface. On the left side, we have the color wheel, the brushes, and the tools like the hand tool and the eyedropper tool. In this bar, we also have the options of saving, copying, and rotating the canvas. Below, we have the selection tool, the rulers, and the pen settings. On the right side, we have the layer selection, and just like Clip Studio Paint, we have the materials section. On the top bar, we can find the rest of the available tools in the app. Important things to highlight in Medibang Paint so far are the option of opening Photoshop files and the option to customize the position of the tools in the interface. Now let's see Ibis Paint. Just like Medibang, it has ads on its interface, and it has the option to pay in order to remove them. The interface is dark blue and is much simpler than that of its rival. Here we have access to our personal gallery and online gallery. When we click the gear, we can see the app settings. And here's where we also discovered that this app has a premium subscription. This subscription unlocks additional fonts, more filters like gradient map, and the option to reorganize your gallery. It also removes a great percentage of the ads in the app. Just like in Medibang Paint, you can create your own canvas size from scratch or select one from the preset list. In this case, you cannot select the color of the background. However, you can manually change it later on. You can work with a white canvas or bring a PNG or JPEG to start working from. However, you cannot import a PSD file on this app. When we are painting, we do have ads on the drawing interface, but we do have a cleaner interface in this case. On the left bar of the screen, we can find a toolbar very similar to the one in Photoshop. On the lower bar, we can find tools like Redo or the Step Backwards option, as well as saving the canvas, the color window, and the brush size bars. When we want to export a file, we have the option to export as a Clip Studio Paint file, PSD, JPEG, and other formats without having to pay more like Medibang Paint. Similar to Medibang Paint, this app has a materials window, but you don't need an account to be able to get access to their library like in Medibang. As usual, this is the most important battle for us. Let's see how each app holds up in their free versions. Let's start with Medibang Paint, and, with what's more important to us, the brushes. You can only use the brushes you can find in their program or in the library connected with the app's cloud. That means we won't be able to import brushes from other apps. This app in general felt like a complete drawing app, however it lacks one of our favorite tools. Liquefy. The lasso tool can be found in the regular selection section. It's another option in this menu. Unfortunately, when we started to select a part of our illustration, we saw that the unselected part changed color. It was a bit annoying for us. It didn't let us see the final result clearly, and we didn't find an option to remove this feature. Moving on, if we want to modify various layers at the same time, that is also a premium feature of this app. Something interesting that Medibang Paint has is when you're going to create a new layer, you can import images and other file types, including the option of importing a PSD, for example. We have in Medibang 17 different types of blending modes to use. Some blending modes that it lacks are dissolve, color burn, linear burn, darker color, linear dodge, and others. In general though, it has the most important ones, and when we tested them, we realized they behave very closely to the ones found in Photoshop. We can also find useful guides for straight lines, perspective lines, ellipses, and so on. Regarding the color tool, we can see two options like in Photoshop, in the color wheel, or square in this case, and in HSB sliders. In settings, we can also adjust the pen pressure, but not in curves. Instead, we can set it up with numbers from 1 to 10. We also adjust the various hand gestures, like going one step back with 2 fingers and the like. We can also adjust shortcuts and set up other styluses that are not the Apple Pencil. Additionally, we can set up the autosave and the cloud settings. Now let's take a look at Ibis Paint X. When we were drawing, we tried to use some brushes with this little lock icon. The app asked us to watch a video to use the brush for free, or pay the premium price. We tried to only use the free brushes since the Duel focuses on their free alternatives, and we won't lie, the free brushes in this app were not that great. We tried to find a simple round brush like the standard one in Photoshop, and it was not easy. After some time exploring the brushes, we found some that we liked, but we were not able to set them up properly to use the opacity with pressure and not manually. We had to move this opacity slider all the time to adjust the amount of pigment we wanted, something that is not very comfortable to do. Just like in Medibang Paint, we can quickly use the eyedropper tool by pressing the same spot firmly until it appears, while we are using the brush tool. The transformation tool gives us 3 options, the classic one using scale, the perspective transformation tool, and the mesh form option. We also have to mention that the layer window is a bit different, which is not a bad thing, and like any good drawing app, it has the clipping masks and the blending modes in this section. We also found a very useful option in the small window icon that clears the content layers without deleting the layer itself. In the end, the brush we liked the most was also a bit awkward to use. It left some random dots when we used it. In general, the app had good airbrushes, but we were unable to find a classical round brush like the standard one in Photoshop. We also found watercolor brushes, but they were okay. Nothing as awesome as the one Adobe Sketch has. Put simply, if you want to use good brushes in this app, you'll have to be watching ad videos or pay the full price. Now let's take a look at the blending modes. Ibis Paint has more blending modes than Medibang, 28 in total, and they behave very closely to Photoshop. Additionally, you have a section here called Screen Tone, something very useful for comics. The layer will be blank and will reveal the screen tone texture as you draw on it. Many of you probably did the same exercise as little kids, where you drew with many colors on cardboard and then covered it with black crayon or black paint. Then you revealed the colors underneath as you drew by removing the paint. We can also find many filters in this app. Some we recognized in Photoshop and others we have to pay in order to use. Just like in Medibang, we can find the frame tool, a very handy tool to quickly create frames for our comics. Also, when we check the materials gallery in Ibis, we notice it is much bigger than the one in Medibang, and you don't need to create an account to access it. One thing it has that Medibang lacks is that you can record the process of your illustration. When we are going to export our illustration, we can do it in many formats, including PSD and Clip Studio Paint format, and it's all free, unlike its competitor Medibang Paint. Now let's see how each app fares in terms of performance. Keep in mind, we are using a first-generation iPad with 128 GB of capacity. Since Medibang Paint accepts Photoshop files, we started with our usual challenge, trying to make the app open a PSD of 300 dpi with a file dimension of 4292 by 5165 pixels. And to our surprise, it opened. We only noticed the colors changed slightly from our version on PC. We then created a new layer and tried painting on it with a small brush and a big one. It performed rather well with such a big file on the iPad. We only noticed a slight lag if the brush size was big. We also tried to make Art Studio Pro and Procreate open the same file, and none of them were able to. Medibang Paint surprised us by being able to do something that its paid rivals were unable to do. Humiliation alert. As Ibis Paint doesn't have the option to open a PSD file, we performed a regular test by trying the limits of the app. We created a standard file at 300 dpi of around 2000 pixels, which is standard size for any iPad. We created a total of 79 layers and continued to test it by using a photo or painting in each layer. In general, the app performed well, only minor lag while painting as the layer number increased. However, it's hard to compare it to Medibang Paint since it can't open PSD files. Now let's get one thing clear. Both apps are almost 100% free, but they have additional premium features that you can unlock by paying $7.99 US. The only differences they have is that Ibis Paint X has a subscription method, and it gives you the option to watch ad videos to unlock their premium brushes. But in general, both apps have great free versions, and if you want to unlock them fully, they're cheap with a permanent license. Alright, we're finally going to find the winner for this duel. We have a draw this battle. Both apps are well organized and their interface is clear with a generally nice design. Medibang Paint won the art battle of this duel. Mostly we selected Medibang as the winner because of the brushes. Medibang Paint has excellent free brushes while the ones at Ibis Paint were rather awkward to use. Keep in mind this decision was based on the free version. We didn't take into account the premium brushes it offers. It was hard to compare both apps since Ibis Paint X can't open PSD files. That aside, both apps perform quite well. Medibang, however, wins this battle by performing excellently and being able to do something its paid rivals like Art Studio Pro were unable to do. It's a draw again. Basically, both apps are cheap and have the exact same price for what they offer. If you want to unlock all their features, you only have to pay $7.99 US to get a permanent license for the apps. And the winner is Medibang Paint. Surprised? Well, Ibis Paint X is a great app, don't get us wrong, but Medibang Paint has some features that made it the best. Remember, we are judging them both by using their free versions, so we didn't take into account any premium features. Additionally, we are very impressed that Medibang was able to open up a PSD file that Procreate couldn't even touch. So in conclusion, both apps are great. They are very cheap if you want to get the full version. Well everyone, that's all for today. Thank you for watching this duel, and we hope this video was helpful to you digital artists out there. Any questions? Let us know in the comments below. See you in the next episode.